So I'll start with the introduction and then you can take it forward from there.
Sure.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Shweta Verma, and I would like to welcome you all to the XLRI XPGDM Industry Expert Speaker Connect series. Today, we have Mr. P. Senthil Kumar with us to share his incredible experience and knowledge. Mr. Senthil brings fresh thinking to any context and believes that every context is unique. He therefore adds custom-fit values to people challenges and issues. Mr. Senthil's last two corporate roles were as CHRO at Tata Steel and Director HR at Cairn Energy. Prior to these, he had led HR at MNCs and Indian conglomerates, straddling across sectors. As a comprehensive HR leader, he has led various OD initiatives, merger and acquisition integrations, and leadership development initiatives. He is a chemical engineer turned HR leader, alumnus of NIT Trichy, XLRI, and Ross School of Business, Michigan. He is also a certified EQI administrator and coach. Let us hear from the man himself about his life journey. Sir, we are pleased to have you here with us. The virtual podium is all yours.
Great,
and
thank
I'll
you.
Share the PPT.
Sure. Great, Shweta. Thank you very much and giving me an opportunity to be here with my Excel friends and colleagues. And that's the greatest pleasure that one gets when you talk to any Exceler. And I'm so much pleased and mighty excited to be here this evening with all of you. And when first time when Rahul was speaking to me about this Connect series and how I could be a part of this evening session, he was asking me to choose a topic or what do you think is what he asked me. And I said, you know what, we are going through a very interesting phase in life today, many of us in various generations, in terms of managing diversity of every kind. Not just gender diversity, this is diversity in terms of generations, diversity in terms of geographies, diversity in terms of age, whatever. So the point here is managing diversity is no more just a corporate subject of interest. It's a subject of interest even within homes and families. Different generations, different views, diverse opinions. How do you really get everybody together? And how do you move through that? And if you understand each other better in terms of diversity, how are you really going to be much more meaningful to each other, much more adaptive and be able to have great relationships with each other? Because life is full of all kinds of people. And so we need to be talking about that. So I said, given the corporate world where it is, can we have this topic of managing the millennials? And that's where I am in terms of talking to you all today. What I've done, Shweta, is we've got a PPT going, and I'll run through the PPT. I'll go through the points. I'll welcome probably any questions on the chat box or later on. Once the presentation is over, probably we can take questions one after the other. So I most welcome such an interaction. I hope it's all okay with you guys. And,
yes, sir, definitely.
Yeah. So let's begin.
Yes, sir. I'm sharing the PPT and then start.
How's the title slideshow?
Yeah. Is it visible?
Yeah, it's visible. It's fine. So one of the things I'm a HR advisor to quite a few corporates in India as well as in the Asia Pacific. So one of the things that I remember a chairman of a company telling was in a board meeting, he was mentioning that we need to get young talent to really take on leadership positions at a much earlier age. We can't be doing what we've been doing in the past, where one has got to really complete 20 plus years of experience before they take on to some senior roles. And there was a lot of looks around the boardroom because the CEO was in his early 50s and then his senior managers were in the late 40s. So here is a chairman who is talking about the younger generation, wherein it was almost clear that he's talking about an early 40s or late 30s to really be in the functional heads, wearing the functional head hats, So I could see the palpable look at all the people in terms of what is he talking about and what would it mean for us. So that's when they pulled out a statistic of where do our people really lie in terms of demographics. And let's see where they are today. I can tell you 70% of the people were belonging to this category of millennials. The ones who were born after 1980, then going on up to 1996, 1998, before the close of century. I think that particular category of people have now grown into positions, and they're occupying almost 70% of the important roles in a company. If you straddle across various sectors, it would be even much more, right? So I then thought that it's important for us to talk about this category of millennials and what does it mean really? What are their aspirations? How do they look at their work life? How are they looking at their careers, and what is it that is making meaning to all of them? And what should we do about it, most importantly? And I think that's where the whole thing comes. It's not really a question of understanding them, but what we do about it is what is most important. So here we go. So that's when I put together some of my thoughts in the form of these slides, and let me go through that along with you at this moment. Next, please. So first is, are we creating a strong company culture? And what do we mean by that? Millennials want their work to have meaning and purpose, apart from offering money. More importantly, today, I mean, it's not that these have not been there in the past as well, but now it is very, very pronounced. In the sense that today, if you're wanting a youngster, let's say in his late 20s or even 30s, what are you doing? He would like to link up his role with a larger purpose of the organization. How important is his role? How critical is his role? I am managing the entire design of the new brands, somebody could say. Somebody could say that, I'm the one who is really spotting future talent in the campuses, and that's important for the company. These are the ways which they want to look at their roles. So as a company, how am I giving the message of importance and criticality to every individual who is there in the company, be it in a frontline role or in a middle-level role or in a senior role? Are we passing on a message that his or her role is important to the business very much, and they are playing a very critical role at that? And that message should be there very clearly with the millennials when we talk about having meaning and purpose. Why am I doing this? What does it give me after all? It gives me the space to think wildly, want a lot of creativity out of me. It gives me space to try out new things, experimentation. Or it gives me space and autonomy to do things in a very systematic, structured way, so that, the efficiency is always at the top of things, Those are the kind of meanings and purpose that we need to be providing to this category of people. Now, this generation was brought up with the highest ideals of achieving great things. Simply because, when you talk about the 1980s and later on into the 90s, almost the earlier generation had hit a right level of stability in their lives. They started building assets, and there is no survival challenges in the real sense. So the more survival challenges went behind, what is coming into the forefront is, what am I looking forward to in terms of my professional fulfillment, and what are things, passion that I can pursue? I don't have to be worried about the bread and butter, the survival part. Parents and the early generation have taken care of it, almost, right? So slowly this shades of the requirements from a fundamental need perspective started changing. And that's when they started looking at the technological advancements in the 80s and the 90s, and come the turn of the century, how it took a great leap forward. I think that's when they saw great things coming on to their lives, whether in the form of new gadgets or new technology, new forms of business in terms of service sectors and things like that. So gone were the days when workers clock in and clock out by just doing the bare minimum. They come there, I got 8-hour duty, I come there and I go back. Now it was like everyone is going above and beyond, so long as there's a strong work culture and values in their organization that are aligned with their own motivation. They're prepared to work, like, if you can put it this way, they're prepared to work their butts off in terms of really being able to, all the time on the phone, anytime, you are there for a call, and they believe that they are responsible at any point of time. You take a call when you're traveling. You participate in a Zoom call when you're doing all that. I've seen, quite a few youngsters, including in my own family, they're all glued on to things much more than probably what I would have done in my early days. Yes, I too had some long hours at work, but now it's like 24/7. I'm not saying that's the best thing to happen, but all that I'm saying is if they are finding meaning and purpose, they are so very much determined to be fully engaged at what they're doing. So the idea behind organizations is to get the full commitment and full engagement of the people along with their motivation. If that was to happen, we need to provide meaning and purpose to them. And that's the point I'm trying to push here. And they're passionate about the craft. They want to be, they love what they're doing, and they really want to see that whatever job they're up to is something which they like and love. So are we providing them meaning? Are we providing them with interest? Are we providing them excitement around what their role is? So these are all now becoming more and more pronounced. And we need to understand that this is how the psyche is working. Maybe somewhere we may not be providing all these things, but the point is, are we conscious about all these things? And that's what I'm trying to tell you. The consciousness around these aspects of a strong company culture makes a difference, right? Let's move on to the next one, please. Yeah, this is also side by side, as much as one would say, I'm available, I'm responsible, trust me for my responsibility, feeling of responsibility. At the same time, I'm looking for a comprehensive lifestyle for myself. It's got to be a work-life balance. And I want to do a lot of other things in life. I may be passionate about candid photography. I want to maybe do, wildlife photography. Do anything. I want to learn something new and different in terms of a language. Could be anything. I want to pursue that. I don't want to leave it just because I started working. There are other things in life which I want to do, which also should be there running parallel in my life. Do I have time for it? Do I have a bandwidth for doing all that? So is the company recognizing these things? I know one of my clients, they got what is called as a 360-degree U. We would have heard about 360-degree feedback and all that, where you get feedback from all the people, your boss, your peers, and your team members. When they talked about 360-degree U, what they meant was, who is this person? Who is a Shweta? Who is a Rahul? Who is a Shalini? What is she up to in terms of her profile? What are her interests? We know that she's a marketing person. Does she have other interests in life? So if you get to understand what is it that interests her in her life, can we as an organization provide her some avenues to address those things? If not in full, at least in parts. That was sensitivity. That was consciousness about every individual bringing to the table something beyond their work-related talent and capability. Can we understand what those things are and provide them an avenue to pursue those things, right? It will make a difference. They should believe that, yes, here's an organization that helps me to, flow in my life. I'm not compromised on my passion and interest in something else, and I'm doing something for the sake of my bread and butter and working in a company. They should not get that kind of a feeling. So here are companies who are conscious about this aspect, and they're trying to see how they can really help them on those lines. Okay. So millennials want to achieve a lot of things. They don't want opportunities to just pass them by. It's like this. I want to do a lot of things in a short period of time, and I'm important. I must feel important about what I'm doing. I must feel good about that. So they would like to really pick up on all opportunity that can come their ways. Please don't take it to the extreme. All that I'm saying is take the spirit of what is there in terms of, when I say opportunities not being frittered away, it means that are they being given opportunities to flow in different dimensions? As an organization, are we providing it to them? As a boss, am I providing it to my team members? Am I seeing it? Those are things, and many of you could be the millennials as well. So am I seeking those things? How are we really, cognizant of these aspects? And are we asking for it? Are we really having a chat with our bosses around these areas? Why not? I need to flow. I don't want to hold back anything, right? So millennials prefer a workplace that allows them to balance their professional and personal lives. A study by Fidelity Investment confirmed that a large percentage of millennials claim that they are willing to accept a lower salary if it means that they will have a better work-life balance. Imagine. This is how it is. The overall value proposition that an employee gets today in terms of working in an organization is not just about compensation. It is compensation very much, no doubt about it, but they look for something beyond that for them to stay in an organization or to feel good about their career in a particular organization. Only when we have these aspects addressed will we know that, yes, it's making meaning to me. Many a time there are people, companies which really hold you on top in the salary scale, but the absence of the other side, the other dimensions will certainly push a person to think of either quitting or making a change sooner than later. So it's not going to give you a sustained joy, right? They know that they can seamlessly work remotely. They don't believe in being put up inside an office to earn an income like their parents did. So, I mean, we are greatly introduced to this aspect in the last 2 years, particularly. All of us know. Somebody is, sitting in the Haveli in Rajasthan and then attending a very important strategy meeting, which is being, organized from Bombay, right? And they've been doing it for almost a year, and things are going on fine, maybe. This is the case with so many of us today. The pandemic has also given a very clear message that there are very many roles which can be done from anywhere, from any location. Of course, there are roles and there are times that we need to have the hybrid model of coming into the office, having that social connect and all that. But it just proves a point that, and the fact is, the millennials are very comfortable with it. And that's the good news. Everybody is, after that initial, hitches in terms of connectivity and various things, then after it has found a kind of a very structured rhythm. It's fallen in place. I got a meeting at 9 o'clock. I got a pick up call at 10:30. There's a Zoom call at 1 o'clock. We're all coming together. The password, this, that. It's now become a culture, and everybody is glued onto it, whether it's Microsoft Teams or Zoom or go-to meetings or whatever platform. This particular set of people, youngsters, they are more glued on to this technological mechanisms of working together, right? And today, when organizations are wanting to come back to the office, actually speaking, quite a few guys whom I've spoken to, they're saying, I think we can still continue to work from home. And one of the points that they're saying is, actually, working from home, there are so many good things, benefits that I've seen. One is I'm able to, first of all, give what is wanted from my role. I think my productivity has not gone down. Sometimes it has even gone up, in fact, because I work for longer hours, many a time, more productively, more intensely. It has got to be very intense. We've got to be facing the screen and listening and working and interacting. You need to be of substance in terms of sharing substance with each other. I can't be a bystander or a spectator for long in a company meeting, right? So it's intense. Your focus has to be there. Your concentration has to be there. So they've gotten used to all those things. At the same time, somewhere, quite a few, this boy whom I was talking to, he said that now I'm actually in a village. My parents never dreamt that I will be back with them and, working from here for the past 16 months. And it's such a nice thing that he's able to do that. And the parents are so happy. The family is happy. This can be one case, and another case can be very different. That is all that. We got a mix of stories here. But all that I'm saying is, it's now, possibility has now been established. The remote working possibility has now been established. We have to do a tweaking here and there, of course, depending upon the roles and things like that. But that possibility has been established. So when we are recruiting people now, when we are taking in new talent, Sometimes we may have to be flexible about these aspects. That's what we need to be thinking about when we talk about managing the millennials. Are we conscious? Are we sensitive to this fact? Suppose a person comes and says, I would like to work from home for a day or two in a week, because my role is as an analytics person. All the other 3 days, I'll keep all my meetings, and for 2 days, can I work from home? Suppose this question is asked me as a boss, I should really look at it from the point of view, if there is a possibility, why not? A rule can always be flexible so long as the interests of the organization and the work deliverables are not compromised, right? So that's the point that we need to keep in mind. So they know that they can seamlessly work remotely. And as I said, they can work from anywhere, that's the point. Next, please. We need to provide leadership and guidance. And what is the points that we need to keep in mind? Millennials are very results oriented because they would like to see the outcome. But more than that, it's like, I did something. So what happened to that after I sent that proposal? After I sent that communication, have I got the response back? Is there any feedback on that front? How am I doing? I need feedback. On any aspect, they would like to see the outcome, the next phase of the action. So as leaders, I can't be sitting on papers. I can't be sitting on decisions. Yeah, there are times when I need to process, maybe need to connect some dots before I give a decision. But I need to know that they are really working on a fast track. There's a little, patience for waiting endlessly for anything. So are we sensitive to those aspects? It's not like, somebody has sent a mail and then forget it. I've done my job. It's not that. So we need to be sensitive about all that stuff. Okay. They crave mentorship and tutelage. They want regular feedback, know whether they're on the right track. So take advantage of that. Let's be straight. Do it nicely. Of course, it's not that feedback means I'll be upfront. Many of us take pride in saying, I'm a very straightforward guy. I tell people on their face, yeah, you've done your job, but you know what impact it had? So, especially with millennials, the sensitivity is very important. We need to say, even if a person is not doing okay, not performing up to our expectations, you know what, Rakesh, my expectations were that, you needed to be doing this. However, during the last few months, I've seen that you've been facing a challenge, and that we have discussed about it also. And I think there are opportunities for you to truly, truly focus on certain areas of how you go about meeting people. I think you need to have a better way of doing that. There needs to be a better mechanism, probably. Have you thought about it? Do you think so? What do you think? Yeah. Here's a feedback being given, but in a way, it's a conversation, making them involved in that, making them engage, making them think and reflect. Not like, having a gun and shooting them straight, tack, 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 one after the other, finish them. I've done my job, gave, what, I just fired them left, right, and center. Some people take a lot of, they feel very proud about themselves, but they do not know what they've actually done. They are actually going to be responsible for the team's performance. The more you guys you're going to take off, knocking off like that, the more it's going to reflect on you, nobody else, right? So we need to be able to manage people, be sensitive, even in case of giving them feedback, which they expect, do it in a manner that, you are taking the sensitivities into consideration. But give them message. Message needs to be clear. So they need guidance. Let them figure things out on their own. Yeah, this is point number 2, the bullet number 2. Provide leadership and guidance and let them figure things out on their own. This figuring out, this is a very important phrase. I love this. Because not many people, I've seen this, including in my home, I've seen my daughters or anybody else. Advices are not advisable. It's better to keep off advices. You can broadly say, what, that needs to be done. So just ensure that these things happen. If you need something, do let me know. But broadly, these are the aspects. We need to keep so-and-so informed and do this. But I leave it to you to pick up the right people the resources. And if you need any help, I'm always available. So do that. Now, this is something which is where they believe that they have the prowess, they have the capability to think through and figure out what they need to be doing to make that happen. Let me have the space to figure out, to plan. We may call it planning, it can also be figuring out. So figuring out is nothing but a plan, but they would like to do that thinking, that original thinking around things. And you already told them that you're available for them. So no problem. Support is available. If there's something goes amiss, I know where to look up to for support and intervention. That's fine. So figuring out things, just the top level guidance and leadership is what one needs to provide in case you're managing millennials as a team leader, as a boss, or whatever, right? Many of you, I would love to hear from you as we finish this presentation in terms of how your thoughts around these aspects are. Are you running parallel with this? Where are you on these things? Rather than giving them a long list of daily tasks and asserting your position over theirs, give them a goal they need to meet, right? What's the outcome that I expect? I expect this as an outcome. Draw that definition clearly. Leave it to them. I know that I need to score another 50 runs in another 3 overs. How I need to do, I can't, as a captain, I can't keep going and telling them ball by ball what they need to be doing. They need to figure it out. We are playing like that today. Game is like that almost. Don't get me wrong. There are other games to be played also. I'm only talking in terms of millennials right now. And here also there'll be a mix. Some people will still expect instructions. See, different strokes for different folks, and that we need to keep it clear in our mind. There could be that 1 or 2 people who will still want guidance, step by step, a little more of spoon feeding, as we would call it. Now, those are all things we need to figure out as people, as managers, as leaders. We need to figure out who likes what is the motivational profiles, Accordingly, give them those strokes. Accordingly, treat them. Accordingly, be able to give them the guidance and leadership. So leadership can be different, slightly different for different people, kinds of people. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Are we taking advantage of the tech savviness? This is the most important characteristic today of this particular generation. Tech savviness of the highest order. Millennials are the driving force behind many technological and digital innovations today. People who are developing a lot of applications, a lot more of technology that goes into everything, and it's just phenomenal. And we're all experiencing it in our lives right now. So I'm keeping my phone on now, and I'm making this presentation and talking about millennials and diversity. I'm sure Google is listening to it, and I'll have a lot more of pop-ups on articles, HBR, McKinsey insights on this topic. It just automatically starts popping up. The level to which the sensitivity to what you're thinking, what you're talking, all that is being picked up. And all that I'm saying is, if you're able to provide interest in the millennials in terms of working with technology, digitizing their work, digitizing tools that will help them to be better. Today, many other sales forces are all connected through technology, and they really, really are very fast in transmitting reports. No question of even transmitting, it's available. Anybody can see how much we're doing in any part of the world and what are the margins, what are the things, it's all there. So digitized work environment creates more interest. That's the simple point that I'm trying to make here. For the millennials, a digitized platform of working, a digitized process holds more interest and attention. They would like to play around and work on that. And if you're making that as part of their work in terms of reporting or any other thing, analysis or whatever, they're fine, absolutely fine. So the Snapchats, chats, the Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, a lot more companies have been founded and developed by millennials. We know that, we're aware of that. Okay. Every day there is a lot more that is happening in terms of startups, applications, technology-based services. I think they are really, really able to, make a point, not just for the business, but to all our lives, in fact. Millennials are not afraid of the changes that are brought about by artificial intelligence or machine learning. They start kind of the curiosity and, to learn what is it actually. That is quite high in the people. Machine learning or automation and any other technological innovations that can help them to become more productive and more efficient. The next version, gadget when is there, what is there, which is different. I do not know. iPhone is going to come out with how many more versions I do not know in life, but every version it says it's much better than that because of these features. But I'm still yet to figure out because I've not followed it at the same pace as the changes that are being brought about with each version. But a millennial, they will be more interested in figuring out what is that little change in the next version. How is it going to help me more? In whatever sense, right? So can we as an organization, can we as people who are managing people, especially the millennials, be sensitive and conscious about this aspect of digital or tech savviness of these people? Can we leverage that? I'm coming to that point. Can we leverage that interest and passion in technology to make them be more effective in their roles? They'll be very happy, right? Next, please. This is very, very important. Not that anybody else in any other generation wouldn't have wanted this, but here this is very, very, and we are in a society I call as a like generation, the like society. You put a like anywhere. The moment you see a post, tack, likes, how many likes I got? It's natural. You post something, you want to see how many likes, is it doing good? Somehow, my posts of mine during the weekdays, weekends are not doing good. Weekdays on this particular time post, it's very good. Because my mind is craving for it, that attention and that acknowledgement and the recognition. It wants it. Okay, it wants it. And how does it want it? It does not want an Oscar award or a trophy given by the Prime Minister or the World Bank. A simple thank you, a great job today. Hey, you know what? That idea is pretty interesting here. You did it's made me think. I think we need to get back to this sometime during the weekend to really have a long chat or a discussion around this. That's good enough. Moment you say this, it will be like, they'll run 100 miles more. They'll run 1,000 miles more. I feel it still if somebody tells that to me. And this generation particularly is a lot more than that. It's 100x or even whatever. So thank you, or a great job today will go a long way for the millennials. This shows them that you appreciate their hard work and their commitment to the job. Recognizing that, hey, Shweta, this is what you did, and you know what? It makes a difference. Well done. Excellent. I need to talk about it sometime when I talk to MD when he's down here to our office. We were on the last sentence. The first two sentences more than enough for somebody to feel good about himself. Yes, my value is being recognized by somebody. This company, this boss of mine recognizes that. That's important. A little appreciation here and there. Whenever you think there is an appreciation needed, please do. That's very, very important. Appreciation is the key here. Here you're really touching upon the basic human need to be acknowledged and recognized. Not that every time you need to give them a promotion. All that is later out, your career growth and all that. First things first. Pat on the back, as we call it, a pat on the back, a thank you, a wonderful job done. Makes sense. Okay? As the generation that's constantly seeking the approval of their peers through social media, it's important to let them know when they are doing well at work. That's what I was telling you earlier. They don't want trophies. They want validation, they want recognition, and they want reinforcement. Constant reinforcement. Don't you see this in social media behavior itself? Just go through these words. Validation, recognition, and reinforcement. Very, very important today for most of the people, I would say. It's catching on to the other senior generations also very much today, by the way. They're also being influenced by this stuff. So it's constant validation, constant recognition. Whether it's good or bad, I'm not getting into that, but this is where the human mind is. So am I addressing that? May not be addressing it all the time. I mean, I can't be all the time saying thank you, thank you, thank you, keep doing that. But are you conscious enough to say these things, to appreciate true good work whenever it's deserved, and do that without wasting time? Don't wait for that ultimate time for you to say all those good things. By the time it will become a truly a farewell speech, because you would already decided to leave in any case, right? So compliment them on their strengths and encourage them to harness their talents in future. In future, you should read us in future. Okay. Right. Next, please. Craft a future that gets them excited. With millennials, it's not enough that you're giving them a job. You're really giving them the purpose of why they are doing what they're doing. I always have this small example. This is not only for millennials, for anybody for that matter. Don't pick up any important role or whatever. Just take the role of the housekeeping guy who comes in the morning to the office, cleans the glass, he wipes the tables, gets the floor cleaned up and things like that. Now, he can look at his job in two ways. One is, yeah, I come here to clean up everything, there's a lot of dust and things that I'm supposed to, take off all that. The other way of looking at this, he or she tells, I'm actually providing a clean environment for this company's people to come and work. I want them to be happy when they're walking to the office first thing in the morning. Look at that purpose, look at the thought behind that. That's the excitement that she sees in what she's doing. The larger purpose for which some action is being done, some activity is being done day in and day out. What's the larger purpose? 6 months from now, we are going to be entering these markets, and this app is going to be the one which is going to make it all happen. And this team is working on that. Call this person, call that person. Guys, I know that you're making great progress. By the way, in the next 2 weeks' time, we're going to be making a presentation to the board, and you are the ones who are going to take it to a biggest leap that this company has ever experienced. Excitement should be there in whatever we do. It need not be big excitements in terms of major things happening. Also, even small things can be exciting. How do you create excitement in people about what they're doing, their jobs? And if we are people leaders, people managers, we have to be inspirational here. Everybody is intelligent today. People are working with you are also intelligent. You are intelligent. If that be the case, a simple plan of work should make everybody do what they are supposed to do and deliver on their own, right? Everybody understands all this PPT, the strategy, the numbers, the table, the Excel. Everybody knows. They know what the target is. They know which are the markets they have to do, which is the journey plan, all that they know. So they just have to do it. But does it happen that way? It never happens. It happens in few cases. It does not happen in few cases. Why? So there is something called the impactful leadership that we give to each of these youngsters, each of these people. Are we giving that inspiration? If we are going to be inspirational in the way in which we lead people, manage people, one of the ways is by creating excitement around what they do. If you're able to create that excitement, yes, you're inspiring them to performance. You're inspiring them to be passionately driving results, passionately driving towards qualitative standards, high quality standards. So develop a career path for them that will lead them to greater and bigger things. Are you able to show them a path that is going to help them to evolve as better and more capable, professionals as they go forward in their life? Are you able to show them that path? Are you able to talk to them and motivate them to do something, of a different, start doing something different in terms of the work itself, so they are rotated through a different function and come back post that evolution of what they are as professionals. Scheduling regular career path discussions. Now, these are all, things which will actually give them a lot more of motivation and excitement to stay on with what they're doing in this company. Show them what they can potentially achieve in your company and get them excited for a future within your organization. These are all things. It's not that these things have not been there for others, but these are more pronounced today in this particular category. That's the little point that I would like to point out here. They appreciate transparency. They appreciate telling it as it is, but tell it in a way that is acceptable. Many a time, under the name and label of transparency, like I said earlier, I just go out and give it to them. It doesn't make any impact on those people. In fact, it has got an opposite impact on people. So I need to know that my transparency is done in an appropriate way in terms of sharing information, giving feedback, telling anything or reporting anything. It must be done in an appropriate way. But be transparent. Don't hold back. That's very, very important today as well. Even if it's a bad news, not a good thing, holding off from telling the truth is considered really, and it's just not acceptable. That tolerance level is not there for that. You should have told me earlier why you didn't tell me then. Now you're coming and telling me that, I should have done this and that. Why did you hold back that particular information that you're not happy with me in that project? These are things which gets taken seriously. Don't you think these are all practical things that arise in our day-to-day work life? I'm not talking any theory at all here. Many of these things you all already know. All that I'm saying is I'm putting in the form of these points to highlight these aspects. You're all working in different places. You've also been seeing a lot of work experiences around you. I'm sure you've come across many of these things. You've experienced yourself, or maybe you've seen that somebody else experienced these things. But these are important to be consciously kept in our minds. More so because millennials constitute majority of the workforce today in the corporate world. Okay. Next, please. Encourage collaboration. Millennials are changing the workforce landscape with that collaborative attitude. One of Deloitte's surveys revealed that one of the top things millennials look for in an employer is a culture of collaboration. I need to get support. When I seek help, I need help to be available. And I don't mind if somebody is going to come and ask me, can you help me on this? It's just available. Contrary to many a perception that, how can I ask help and things like that. I remember I used to tell my team members who came, please do not hesitate to put up your hand in case you need help in what you're doing. And invariably it will be there around the table. People will come around. Simple things, when you get into a flight, suppose there's a little elderly person and they want to put the luggage on top. If they request somebody, can you please help me? Immediately, I've seen people help me. Same thing when I take it out before you disembark from the flight, from the aircraft. When you ask for help, it invariably is there. And the youngsters, particularly, this collaboration is a very good thing. Working together, it's fun. You bring in there, I bring in something. There's a lot more of synergy that is being recognized in terms of working together. It's not like, I'm getting lesser or somebody is going bigger. This generation doesn't believe in that. The exceptions are there, but I'm not talking about that. But the fundamental mindset is around collaboration. So can we provide that? Millennials seek guidance or help from their peers to get better results. How can I do this better? Many a time they go out and seek guidance. So if you are a people manager, then you better say that, please feel free to come and talk to me anytime that you need this kind of a help, or if you're getting stuck somewhere, I'm available. That's the greatest assurance you can give in the form of this particular subject. They know that working as a team will result in bigger things and greater achievements. This is something they feel, this team has done it, that team has won this award. This team worked for a day and night to get the great places to work award, certification for the company. So these are areas which we need to be aware of and believe that how can I, as a manager or as a leader, translate these aspects in the form of creating that culture of collaboration? How do I encourage people to do that? How can I be part of that motivating force which makes it a culture of collaboration in the company? Holding weekly team meetings, brainstorming sessions to encourage collaboration, irrespective of whichever level anybody is, take those ideas. How do we respect those ideas? How do we recognize those people behind those ideas? All this makes a lot of difference in terms of creating that culture of collaboration, right? So that is something which we need to understand. Next, please. Allow them to be leaders. Yes. They are self-assured, like I'm on top of the world. I'll do it. Look at the self-confidence in general. You find that as the generation is becoming younger and younger, the confidence, the self-confidence level is higher and higher. There are n number of factors as to why it is like that. We will not go into that now, but this is the outcome, very much. The earlier generation, the elder generations will think a lot more times before they, take a decision. But with 60 to 80% of what is available, the next generation takes a decision. It doesn't wait for that 100% or 120% data before they really take a call. We have so much, I think it's fine. Let's move on. Right? That's the kind of mindset the millennials are made of. A very positive, can-do attitude. I'm here to win. Things will happen. I can pursue this particular interest and still be very successful. It may not be the most sought after profession, but I'm going to make a meaning and making a difference in this world. I can do that. That's the level of confidence that the millennials have today. Make sure not to squash their passion or hold them back or belittle their abilities, and allow them to be leaders. This is a very important aspect. Can we be a facilitator to make them flow through their passion, pursue their passion, and not holding them back, not throwing cold water on the ideas and suggestions being made by them? Sometimes it may not be practical, but the way in which we address that, acknowledging the idea to be very good, yet it's going to take some time probably for the organization to make it happen. Can we wait for it? Can we hold some patience towards that? Those are all the ways and means by which we need to really not squash their passion or interest, but at the same time, helping them to pursue their interests and recognizing them to be people who can think and make things happen as leaders. Can you give them bigger, more meaningful projects while showing them your support? In one of the companies where I was heading HR, Kane Energy, it was a very young company in terms of the mid-level managers. Let me give an example here. In an oil and gas company, which is the exploration and production, one of those traditional industries of oil exploration and production, it takes about almost 20 years for somebody to really become a vertical head in the geotechnical functions. Let's say a geology department function or a drilling function, not even 20 years, it will take 25 plus. But in Kane, we brought in a policy where the youngsters who graduate out of Indian School of Mines or any other good institutions who are being taken as technical management trainees, we had a policy, we made a policy where we said, first 4 years, they'll be mentored by the senior most in that particular function. A guy, an expat who comes with very global experience, not teaching them, but really mentoring them and giving them a lot of advanced knowledge on how various terrains really behave, give them the technical knowledge from across the world. And in almost 7 to 8 years, they're willing to take up a full level higher responsibility in their respective roles. When I say full level, it does not mean that they'll lead the function, but I'm saying quite a large responsibility in their own way. Now, this was coming in very handy for us. One, because they wanted it, the youngsters wanted it, and it was meeting their requirements. And they were rising up to it. They were rising up to it. Now, a parallel company which was in competition with us was not doing that. They have to wait and grow till that time before they really get those positions of higher level responsibilities. And we could score over, even though they were getting higher salaries than our company in Came, guys were leaving that to come here because they know that they're getting value added here in a much less time. And compensation is not bad after all, it's good. So giving them bigger, more meaningful projects while showing them your support, you're pandering to their interest in taking off higher responsibilities. They would like to show them many more things of importance. So they have the interest. Can you give them the guidance, the knowledge, and impart the skills to make it happen? So believing in them, and then they will do everything in their power to live up to your expectations. The trust that you can believe in them, they can rise up to that. We have seen in the sports, there are so many examples, scores and scores of examples which validate this point. If you believe in somebody, trust them, they invariably rise up to that trust. Right? Millennials respond to positive reinforcement better. They respond to positive reinforcement even better. Yeah, you did a good job. And you know what? What you did there in terms of your alacrity and alertness with which you responded to that situation, that was truly fantastic. I don't know whether I would have done that, but you were there to make it happen. This is coming for a lot of appreciation, not only as I saw it, but from many others who are a witness to what happened that day. Imagine when you say this, how much more they feel good about themselves. That spawns a lot more of positive performances from them. So are we taking cognizance of all these aspects? There have been about almost 7 slides now. I've been talking on all these things. Now, I would like to really, respond to questions, thoughts. Please share your thoughts, your experiences, for the sake of the other audiences as well, for the sake of other people who are there here. It's been a tremendous thing to share with you my views on this. Certainly go on and shoot if you're going to have any questions around this. Most welcome. Willing to interact with you on that. Go ahead.
Yeah, Vineet, you can ask.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, we termed 2021 year as a year of great resignation. So what do you think? And when we look at the stats, we see a lot of millennials are responsible for actually, this phase of post-pandemic period. So what do you think? What are the reasons behind it?
Great question on the great resignation part. That's the topic and subject of the day today, because that's what is happening. It's a happening subject today across. The point here is the pace with which the millennial mindset has changed has not been parallelly kept up with the pace at which organizations have understood what they need in terms of addressing those interests. And this is where the blind spots are really now becoming laid bare. They're being laid bare today in terms of how the organizations and managements have been blind to what's happening in the millennial mindset. Today, if you look at it, the millennials do believe that, if the work is not going to hold any meaning for me, I would like to do something on my own as well. I don't mind joining up with my friend who's on a startup and he's got a great idea. He's still not got any funding, but he's working on a startup idea. I'll still want to go up and work with him. That's, to give an example, that's the way in which the mind works. And all the slides, had mentioned about excitement, creating excitement, pursuing passion, making meaning, giving recognition. Now, many of the organizations may not be even tuned to these things. They got a set job, you come in, you're an engineer, a fresh engineer with maybe 3 years of experience, just come and do this job and go. No, he's not going to be doing that now anymore. How do you make him see the things beyond what a routine job is? In terms of its value, its criticality, the movement towards, as I said, artificial intelligence or machine learning. The company is going to be investing on these aspects. Have you spoken to him on all these things? Have you created that interest that staying in this company, you're going to be privy to all these technologies? Now, these are the areas where the sensitivity has got to be there from organizations. And I think many companies have missed out on these factors of cognizance, which needed to have been addressed. And you see all over, because the earlier generation is the one which is, something which is stayed on to the fact that we don't have to change, but things will keep happening. They didn't quite make note of the fact that the mindsets of the younger generation professions are also changing. The motivation theories are now different. Profiles are different. So that was just one example, but there are many such things beneath which, have not been looked at. And that insensitivity is what is leading to great resignation phase today that we are experiencing all around.
So, sir, where do you see the future? I mean, do you think companies will catch up to it, the expectations and the needs of the millennials?
Now, before long, yes, because it's going to be, before you realize, it become a survival game. If you don't have the talent for not only the current business plans, but also for your future, how are you going to sustain continuity in business? When you think of growth, you need continuity of talent. So this will become the most important strategic subject to be addressed. It's no more operational. It's for the attention of the board, various boards. So that's where we are.
Thank you, sir.
Right, Vineet. Thank you very much for asking this.
Hello, sir. Anuj here.
Yes, Anuj. Hi.
Sir, the concept of financial independence and early retirement is quite sought after in this generation. And then when we say that they are demanding the work-life balance along with these two concepts, so it's a little contradicting for me, because I mean, generally an early retirement thing is like work a lot for early 15 years and then get retired, right? So can you just help me out to bifurcate these two trends, like which one is more prominent in this generation, and how are they dealing with this?
Which one is more? Which of the two you're talking about? The financial.
Yes, I mean financial independence or work-life balance. What do they need? Because financial independence would need an early burnout, like a speed burnout thing, right? That's why.
Correct. Yeah, very right. See, the thing is, I'm looking at life. I'm talking as though I'm a millennial. I'm talking as a millennial. I'm already going for a millennial now to you. You know what? I want to have a good lifestyle. I want to have a good economic backing for me in terms of my earnings. I need to get a job towards that end. I want to work. Now, I know that I took engineering and I started my life as a computer science professional. And I'll be doing this work maybe for the first 10 years or 12 years. But you know what? I have a great interest in traveling and being able to visit countries, not any countries, but I want to go to those countries where wildlife things is there. I would like to pursue that passion sometime. And maybe when I'm 32, 35, during that time, I would like to get my backpack and start moving around. So one thing is I need to plan for what it would be needing in terms of my financials at that point of time for me to pursue it going forward. Maybe I start working for National Geographic along with it. I don't know. Maybe that combines and integrates with my passion. So I'm at it right now. But a ballpark figure for me is an age of 35. By that time, I should be out of it. Because, Anuj, I want to see more in life. This is not going to be IT is not the field where I'm going to be wedded for life. I want to see many more things. At least the other thing that I want to see is what I told you earlier. So my plan is like this. I don't think that, I will have to really, I'm there. There's a friend of mine is there who really wants to give it all, but with the same age, limits, where he wants to really, give that burnout kind of a career till that point of time, earn as much as possible, grow as much as possible, and say bye, and then get going, get off the bus and get onto a different bus or a flight. But I'm going to be taking it a slightly steady way. I'm not bothered about my success definition is not about reaching that level, but I would like to earn enough for me to be able to get off the bus. Later on, I would like to plan it in a different way, but still I will have some economic returns through some means, as I told you earlier. But that's where I'm fashioning out my life. You got me? So this is the mindset that speaks today. And there can be different shades to it, different kinds to it. So does it answer your question, Anuj, in terms of response?
Yes, sir. So from what I understand is they do need the early retirement kind of thing, but along with that, they do not want to burn out so much that they won't be able to enjoy the later life. So they do need the work-life balance as well. That's what I mean.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Hello, sir, Prashant.
Hi, Prashant. Tell me.
Yes, sir. So we usually see that during M&A, employee and especially millennials really struggles to adopt to the new policies, HR policies.
Yeah.
So how would one monitor and measure the success of the new HR strategy over there, especially for millennials?
See, I mean, there are a few structured exercises that one can do in terms of a pre-merger engagement survey, okay, which can give you an index of a score before merger. And very typically, post-merger, 1.5 years, 2 years down the line, you take another survey and see the differences. But I will want to talk and deal the subject around how to make it more successful in terms of a HR strategy that can get people together in a much more satisfying manner. Right? When two companies are merging or another company is being acquired, naturally there is going to be a lot of differences, not only in terms of policies and practices, but also in the form of culture, the working culture itself. So one important thing during merger and acquisition is a due diligence of the cultures, and HR policies are important. It should not be just a due diligence on the financials. It should not be just a due diligence on the markets and the geographies. It should be a due diligence on the HR practices and policies of the companies that are being acquired. Okay. Once you get the data and clarity on that front, you can then make a roadmap of how we're going to integrate that or tweak it or modify it to make it as an integral part which can make sense to all the people. Working towards it. Sometimes you may not be able to merge two policies, it may be completely different. So you can have a migration plan. Maybe in the next 3 years, they'll continue to hold what they're getting right now in the form of these things, and then we can make a migration plan to a different policy at a later point of time. Now, all this roadmap that you're making around various aspects of HR policies must be communicated. The most important thing is communicating with two clear messages. One is the communication to tell them that it will be different for some more time to come. You will see different cultures working in the same group differently. But over a period of time, we have this plan to make it integral, but that's going to take some time. And each one of you will have to take ownership to bring about the change. right? Number two. So these are the two things that we need to say. But before that, the important thing is telling them the reality of this change. What could be the discomfort for some people in this, and what could be the comfort for some people in this change? Put the reality to them as it is. Do not hide anything from them. For example, if you're going to have educational policies for the children and it is not there in this company and we can't afford because this company is a huge company and the financial outflow will be very high, I will say that I may not be able to do the same practice here. You may not like it, but the fact is, that is the fact. We can't afford it. Tell the truth as it is, but tell them what steps you're taking to make their lives better. Be sincere about it. Be sincere about the communication of the reality of the change. Encourage them to be part of the change so that they can see a better future for themselves. Now, these are all some of the things that we need to have as a philosophy for change and actually practice it. It will make a huge difference. It's not the hard facts of an M&A that's going to, result in people leaving the company or people being hugely dissatisfied and things like that. It's the softer aspects of how you bring about the change and lead the change that will make the difference. It happens practically. This is how it works out. There'll still be some doubting Thomases who will still say, oh, come on, yeah. We have got a history. How will these guys come and what are they going to do now? As if we have not done anything good in the past. And all this kind of snide remarks, day-to-day basis, all that will happen. But your one communication town hall, which sincerely communicates what it communicates, that gets the message across much more powerfully than anything else. Okay, Prashant.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
Sir, I have a question. I have a slightly extending to what we actually discussed in managing millennials.
Yep.
In few years from now, we'll be seeing a lot of Gen Z people in workforce. And what do you feel about the difference between the millennials and Gen Z people, and what things should change? Because when I was reading one article that said that almost 50% of the Gen Z people wanted to become an entrepreneur. So if that is the case, how we are going to manage organization, and what is the kind of cultural change we must actually bring in?
It's a very profound question, and soon we'll be there discussing that Gen Z than millennials. That's how it is going to be. And very importantly, thank you for bringing this point. Gen Z, as you said, is very, very entrepreneurial. They would like to be on their own, gig workers, freelancing, and they'll be working on something which makes meaning to them. They don't care about whom they are working for, but am I doing something which is going to be making meaning to me day in and day out? That's one. The other is the entrepreneurial streak in me, where I want to really make some ideas work. I want to make it a business proposition. I want to be a business owner. I want to do something which is different. Let me be the creator of this business. So the entrepreneurial streak is taking predominance going forward into this generation. Traditional companies which have a large workforce and are working on the typical functions that we normally see in organizations, they will see a change. They could see a change, and you can do a crystal ball gazing in terms of how that could change. I may not have a ready off-the-shelf responses to what you asked me, but I can give you some views which I think is what I think about. Okay. One of the things is a traditional company, let's say a supply chain is there, logistics, inbound logistics, outbound logistics is there. You got a manufacturing setup, a core manufacturing setup. You got the other support functions which are there. Now, imagine each one of them is run and a service given by somebody. Barring a core manufacturing outfit which is there in the organization, where you do typical critical functions, let's say computer-aided design and a computer-aided workshop with CNC machines, which is the most value-adding aspect of the manufacturing operations. The preparatory work for the raw materials and the finishing work for the raw materials is given to some entrepreneurs. They're being done. Similarly, HR is being outsourced to a boutique HR organization which provides all the services. Right? Now, I'm making it too simplistic in terms of what I'm trying to say, but the message that I'm trying to convey to you is, can you dismantle the business into independent manageable parts that is supporting a core? Suddenly you will find that you have created 15 entrepreneurs within your organization for taking charge of a certain complete line which they are providing to the core business. My core business will have only very few people who are managing that, who are working in that. Rest all are, fanned off to different people, and they all form the larger business stakeholders for my business. So how are you able to dismantle and have a framework where each one is responsible for a P&L for a business that he's managing, which of course caters to my core? In that process, he grows as an entrepreneur. I get my work done and my business runs the way it has to be run. But to get all these things together, I could use technology in the most leveraged way, so that everybody is in sync all the time, like a typical organization today is. And why not? Why should I have these guys on my roles? Let them run their finance organization, accounting organization for me completely. Why can't it happen? Raise a question and see if it is possible. There may be some hitches, but we'll go through those glitches. So the idea is, how can you dismantle and have a larger framework of connectivity to work together? That's the way it is. And nobody can work in isolation. I can't have a business which I am the only one running and I'm the only one working for it. It's not possible in today's world. As I told, you've got to collaborate. But the mechanisms of collaboration will have to be now completely different from how we're collaborating now within the company. That collaboration can be externalized into more micro units which can come together. Possibility is there. So how are you really addressing the entrepreneurial mindset of professionals? Of course, not 100% of people are not going to be like that. It's going to see a transition. More number of people will be wanting to get there. So that percentage will be rising in the next decade or so. So this transition has to happen in that manner. And that's what I think. That's one way of looking at it. And there could be many other ways which could be talked about going forward in the times to come. Yeah. Thanks for asking this question, Sarveshwar. You made me think for the first time around this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think we are done with the Q&A, as I see no hands raised.
Okay.
So we'll conclude this session by giving the vote of thanks.
Sure.
So it is my honor and privilege to extend this vote of thanks to our honorable speaker, Mr. P. Senthil Kumar. I want to start by thanking Mr. Senthil on behalf of our batch for taking out time from his hectic schedule. The session was exuberant, and I'm sure many of us would have got immensely benefited with the experience and insights you have shared. Once again, thank you very much for this inspiring session, and we XLers hope you keep enlightening us with your immense knowledge in future also. So thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. I'd just love to say that an engaging participant set here today evening, and I felt very good interacting with each one of them, starting from Vineet to Sarveshwar and Anuj and Prashant in between. It was wonderful I hope I made some meaning today in the evening session in terms of making you at least take cognizance of a few points for your own thinking and reflection. And yeah, wishing all the very best as professionals going forward. Just go out there and play the game, and we'll keep learning every day in and day out. No one can be perfect, but then the more we are able to practice what we learn and put those lessons back into action, we should be fine. That's it. Great going, guys, and all the very best. It's fantastic. I felt as though I've come back to the campus today, and sitting in Chennai, I feel that I'm in Jamshedpur. I know that you all are in different locations, probably. I'm not too sure about that, but wonderful time. Thank you so much. And let me not keep you more. Good night and cheers and goodbye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.